Hi guys, long time no see. I have in fact been sick again. Some of you clocked it, I got a few comments about it, but you know, to be seen is to be loved. So thank you for caring, thank you for asking. My neurological stuff has come up again. I have been sick to the point of being on bed rest for a few weeks. I feel a lot better tonight. It's 1 a.m. and I suddenly feel a little bit better, and so I thought I would take the opportunity to film while I feel okay. I don't know if I'm gonna keep feeling well enough to edit and post this soon. I don't know when you'll be seeing this, but whenever you see this, hi! Hi! It's the end of March and I've been sick for all of March. So that's just how it is. That's just how being chronically ill is. I am feeling a little bit better, and so I'm filming this now while I can, even though it's 1 a.m. and I should probably be sleeping. Speaking of sleeping though, apparently my brain has needed a lot of sleep, because for the past few weeks I have been sleeping 14 to 16 hours a day, which is crazy, especially for someone with insomnia who like barely sleeps ever. Weird to get used to, but I guess it's what my brain has needed. Anyways, shut up. Let's just do this. I'm here to talk about, I'm here to talk about new releases coming out in April, May, and June. And I'm whittling down this list because total there were 86 books that I wanted to talk about. And obviously I can't do that. I can't talk for 2 hours right now. I can't. So I'm limiting myself to 10 books per month that I'm allowed to share the entire synopsis of, plus there'll be a handful from each month that I've summarized myself into one quick little sentence. You'll see. Also, Murphy's over here. She's sleeping. I'm not gonna bother her, but she's here with us. Egg is not. Egg is sleeping upstairs. And just like the January through March new releases coming out, all the books that I wanted to talk about that I have on my watch list that we don't have time for, I'm gonna put them all into a little collage so you'll be able to see them. You can screenshot. We'll do that later. So there are 3 books that come out on April 1st that I want to talk to you about. The first is called The Sirens by Amelia Hart. This is a story of sisters separated by hundreds of years but bound together in more ways than they could imagine. In 2019, Lucy awakens in her ex-lover's room in the middle of the night with her hands around his throat. Horrified, she flees to her sister's house on the coast of New South Wales, hoping Jess can help explain the vivid dreams that preceded the attack, but her sister is missing. As Lucy waits for her return, she starts to unearth strange rumors about Jess's town. Tales of numerous missing men spread over decades. A baby abandoned in a sea-swept cave. Whispers of women's voices on the waves. All the while, her dreams start to feel closer than ever. In 1800, Mary and Eliza are torn from their loving home in Ireland and forced onto a convict ship heading for Australia. As the boat takes them farther and farther away from all they know, they begin to notice unexplainable changes in their bodies. A breathtaking tale of female resilience, The Sirens is an extraordinary novel that captures the sheer power of sisterhood and the indefinable magic of the sea. The Sirens, I assume mermaids are going to pop up at some point or another, or maybe it's a non sequitur title, who knows. I still can't hear the name Eliza without in my head going, Eliza and Peggy. Anyway, that was The Sirens. The next book coming out on April 1st is called Sour Cherry by Natalia Theodoridou. Natalia Theodoridou. That one. This. Natalia Theodoridou. It is a horror book with a creepy ass cover, and it's a reimagining of Bluebeard. The tale begins with Agnes. After losing her baby, Agnes is called to the great manor house to nurse the local lord's baby boy. But something is wrong with the child. His nails grow too fast, his skin smells of soil, and his eyes remind her of the dark forest. As he grows into a boy, then into a man, a plague seems to follow him everywhere. Trees wither at the roots, fruits rot on their branches, and the town turns against him. The man takes a wife who bears him a son. But tragedy strikes in cycles, and his family is forced to consider their own malignancy, until, wife after wife, death after death, plague after plague, every woman he touches becomes a ghost. The ghosts become a chorus, and they call urgently to our narrator as she tries to explain, in our very real world, exactly what has happened to her. The ghosts can all agree on one thing, an inescapable truth about this man, this powerful lord who has loved them and led them each to ruin. If you leave, you die, but if you die, you stay. Sick. I actually don't think I've ever read a Bluebeard retelling. so maybe this will be the first. The final one from April 1st is called When We Were Real by Daryl Gregory, which is a sci-fi speculative novel. JP and Doolin have been the best of friends for decades. When JP finds out his cancer has aggressively returned, Doolin decides it's the perfect time for one last week-long bus tour of North America's impossibles, the physics-defying glitches and geographic miracles that started cropping up 7 years earlier, right after the announcement that revealed our world to be merely a digital simulation. The outing, courtesy of Canterbury Trails Tours, promises the trip of a not completely real lifetime in a not completely deluxe coach. Their fellow passengers are 21st century pilgrims, each of them on the tour for their own reasons. There's a nun hunting for an absent god, a pregnant influencer determined to make her child too famous to be deleted, a crew of horny octogenarians living each day like it's their last, and a professor on the run from leather-clad sociopaths who take the Matrix as scripture. Each stop on this trip is stranger than the last. A tunnel outside of time, a zero-gravity geyser, the compound of motivational speaking avatar. What does that mean? With everyone barreling towards the tour's iconic final stop, Ghost City, where unbeknownst to our travelers, the answer to who is running the simulation may await. When We Are Real is a tour de force and exploration of what really matters even in an artificial world. This sounds basically like if we all found out that we were actually Sims. Like we were Sims that some omnipotent godchild was playing with, which kind of would make sense with the state of like everything right now. Sorry. No, not sorry. Not sorry. We're gonna talk about politics here. Politics are gonna come up. Fuck Donald Trump. Free Palestine. This is not the channel to come to if you just want to escape and read books and pretend like they don't have any kind of political meaning behind them. Am I gonna cut that out? Am I talking crazy because I'm sick? No! Maybe. I really hope that this is not anyone's first time watching my videos because I'm gonna seem insane. If anyone doesn't know, I have a neurological condition that started last year when I got pneumonia that hit my brainstem and pneumonia went up into my brain. So I'm still dealing with repercussions more than a year later. So that's why this is, that's why this is like this. That's why this is like this. Anyway, next up, I have one book to talk about coming out on April 8th, which is called The House of Blight by Maxim M. Martineau. Adira Brilwin is a thread mender. She holds a rare life-saving power that can cure disease and heal injuries in the blink of an eye. But magic always comes with a cost, and saving anyone sacrifices a sliver of her own life. She's always kept her abilities hidden until the powerful Fernglove family discovers her secret. The Ferngloves are charming and beautiful, possess powerful magic, and don't take no for an answer, especially Orin, the head of these ruling elites. When Adira's brothers unexpectedly contract blight, an incurable virus killing people throughout the town, and an illness too strong for her to heal them both, Orin offers to help. Together at his estate, they'll research a cure while Orin slows their sickness and Adira hones her magic. His kindness and honesty surprises Adira, as does her undeniable attraction to him. But the other Ferngloves are suspicious of her power, and may be more dangerous than the ever-present disease. The longer Adira stays within the confines of the manor, the more the family's pristine exterior begins to crack, until Adira discovers a terrifying secret and must choose who she can save and at what cost. This is labeled as a gothic romantic fantasy. Gothic romantasy. Adira Brilwin that's quite a name. I have one book to talk about that comes out on April 15th, and that is called Open Heaven by Sean Hewitt, which is giving Call Me By Your Name vibes. All I've been thinking about is White Lotus, and so thinking about anything like Call Me By Your Name is just reminding me of this one meme that I saw that I feel like I shouldn't. No, you know what? If you haven't seen White Lotus by now, then it's your own fault. This meme, it's the only thing I can think about. Anyways, Open Heaven by Sean Hewitt. James, a sheltered, shy 16-year-old, is alone in his newly discovered sexuality, full of an unruly desire but entirely inexperienced. As he is beginning to understand himself and his longings, he also realizes how his feelings threaten to separate him from his family and the rural community he has grown up in the north of England. He dreams of another life, fantasizing about what lies beyond the village's leaf-ribboned boundaries, beyond his autonomy, tenderness, sex. Then, in the autumn of 2002, he meets Luke, a slightly older boy, handsome, unkempt, who comes with a reputation for danger. Abandoned by his parents, his father imprisoned, and his mother having moved to France for another man, Luke has been sent to live with his aunt and uncle at their farm just outside the village. James is immediately drawn to him, like the pull a fire makes on the air, dragging things into it and blazing them into its hot white center. Drawn to this boy who is beautiful and impulsive, charismatic, troubled, but underneath Luke's bravado is a deep wound, a longing for the love of his father and for the stability of family life. Open Heaven is a novel about desire, yearning, and the terror of first love. With the striking economy and lyricism that animate his work as a poet, Hewitt has written a mesmerizing hymn to boyhood, sensuality, and love in all of its forms, a truly exceptional debut. The author being a poet makes me so excited. I think about things like Ocean Vuong, who started out as a poet and then wrote On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous. I love poetry, as should be exemplified by all of the many, many, many poetry books I have down here. They're all down here. There's so many of them. All of my poetry lives down there. So that makes me way more excited. That's not where it was before. Where was it? Anyways, very excited about this. Loved Call Me By Your Name. Excited to read about gay boys. On April 22nd, we have 3 books coming out, the first of which is called When the Tides Held the Moon, which I am perhaps the most excited for out of anything from April because I was able to get an arc of this from NetGalley. Hopefully, I'm going to be able to start reading again at some point over the next week, and I'm gonna be able to get into this book. And I'm very excited because, again, it's about the gays. Gay mermaids, actually, I think. When the Tides Held the Moon by Vanessa Vita Kelly. Benigno Benny Caldera knows an orphan Boricua blacksmith in 1910's New York City can't call himself an artist, but the ironwork tank he creates for famed Coney Island playground, Luna Park, astounds the eccentric sideshow proprietor who commissioned it. He invites Benny to join the show's eclectic cast and share in their shocking secret. The tank will cage their newest exhibit, a live merman stolen from the salty banks of the East River. More than a mythic marvel, Benny soon comes to know the merman Rio as a kindred spirit, wise and more compassionate than any human he's ever met. Despite their different worlds, what begins as a friendship of necessity deepens to love, leading Benny's heart into uncharted waters where he can no longer ignore the agonizing truth of Rio's captivity, and his own. Releasing Rio could mean losing his found family, his new home, and his soulmate forever. Yet Benny's courageous choice may just reveal a love strong enough to free them both. I'm excited about gay mermaids. This makes me happy. And it's also like turn of the century New York with like a circus theme. The circus setting. And I f***ing love a circus setting. Very excited, very happy, very gay, very mermaid. 464 pages. Damn. Okay. Thick gay mermaid book. Next is When the Wolf Comes Home by Nat Cassidy, which is a good deal shorter at 304 pages and is a horror. One night, Jess, a struggling actress, finds a 5-year-old runaway hiding in the bushes outside her apartment. After a violent, bloody encounter with the boy's father, she and the boy find themselves running for their lives. As they attempt to evade the boy's increasingly desperate father, horrifying incidents of butchery follow them. At first, Jess thinks she understands what they're up against, but she's about to learn there's more to these surreal and grisly events than she could have ever imagined, and that when the wolf finally comes home, none will be spared. Cool. It's been a long time since I have read this seems to be a werewolf book, judging by that and the title of the book. It's been a long time since I've read any kind of werewolf book, so this is very exciting to me. I also, speaking of werewolves, I need to know if anyone here has heard of the Beast of Gévaudan, because I feel like I'm going crazy. No one I've spoken to knows about this, and I named my sourdough starter after it, and no one understands the joke, because it's really funny, and I think it was the last original thought on the planet. I have a sourdough starter upstairs, and apparently everyone names their sourdough starter, and this was the first time I did this, and so I named it The Yeast of Gévaudan, because the Beast of Gévaudan is a story I've known for a long time about like 1600s France, maybe, where this town called Gévaudan was terrorized by what they believed to be some kind of a werewolf, and it was just ripping apart farm animals and people for years and years, and so it went down in history as the Beast of Gévaudan. And I've known about this thing for years. For like 10 years I've known. It's been like a central thing in maybe not a central thing, but it's been a thing in my head. And every time I explain my really funny starter name to people, they don't know what I'm talking about. So have any of you ever heard of the Beast of Gévaudan? Am I alone in this? When I Google it, when I Google yeast of Gévaudan, which is the funny pun that I came up with, Google says 0 search results. And I don't think I've seen that in like a decade. So I think maybe my pun about this werewolf story and this yeast, I think that it was the last original thought anyone has ever had. Good for me. That's amazing. I am a genius. Let me know if you've heard about the Beast of Gévaudan. Did someone back me up? Someone tell me I'm not insane. Please. I feel like YouTube people must have heard about it before. I think over on the Watcher channel, I think Ryan and Shane have done one of their things about it. So someone has to know. Anyway, the last book I want to talk about that comes out on April 22nd is called The Sundowner's Dance by Todd Kiesling. Another horror book. Jerry Campbell just wants to be left alone. Grief-stricken over the death of his wife Abigail, the elderly widow and recent retiree is desperate for a change of scenery. When his realtor suggests a new home in Fairview Acres, a retirement community in the Poconos, Jerry figures it will be a nice place to spend the rest of his days in solitude, until he moves in. Weird neighbors, nightly block parties, strange noises across his rooftop at all hours. Worst of all is Arthur Peterson, chairman of the Fairview Acres Community Association, who seems obsessed with coaxing Jerry into participating in these neighborhood activities. At first, Jerry shrugs off the incidents and eccentricities, telling himself he doesn't want to be the guy who complains about everything. But all that changes one evening when Catherine Donnelly appears on his doorstep with an ominous warning. You need to leave. The worms. They dance at nightfall. His neighbors all say Catherine suffers from a form of dementia called Sundowner's syndrome, but as the weeks progress and the strangeness mounts, Jerry begins to suspect there is something else going on in his neighborhood, something that has to do with the huge stone in the community park. Heartfelt and unsettling, Todd Kiesling's latest novel, The Sundowner's Dance, propels readers through a terrifying exploration of grief, dementia, and perhaps the greatest horror of all, growing old. This I want to read. It might be a tough read for me. I currently have a family member going through end-stage dementia. If you don't know what sundowners is, it's a real condition that comes along with dementia. There's something about the sun going down that ticks something in people's brains sometimes if they have dementia, and they tend to lose their minds a little bit more as the sun sets. So I don't really know if I want an exploration of grief and dementia right now, but I'm gonna read it, because it does sound so good. I feel like we never get books where the main character is an elderly person. So I want to read it. Hard, but I want to read it. And lastly, for April, we have 2 books coming out on April 29th. The first is called Bat Eater and Other Names for Cora Zhang by Kylie Lee Baker. Cora Zhang is a crime scene cleaner, but the bloody messes don't bother her, not when she's already witnessed the most horrific thing possible, her sister being pushed in front of a train. The killer was never caught, and Cora is still haunted by his last words. Bat Eater. These days nobody can reach Cora. Not her aunt, who wants her to prepare for the Hungry Ghost Festival, not her weird colleagues, and especially not the slack-jawed shadow lurking around her doorframe. After all, it can't be real, can it? After a series of unexplained killings in Chinatown, Cora believes someone might be targeting East Asian women, and something might be targeting Cora herself. And then the final one, on April 29th, is called Night Swimming by Erin Starmer. And I don't really know what genre to put this in, because it says romance, magical realism. We all know that I'm not reading romance over here, but this feels a little sci-fi-ish. So hopefully that's the case. Let's see. It's the summer of 1994, and Trevor can barely wrap his mind around the fact that he and his friends have graduated high school. The future is a murky thing, filled with a college experience he feels neutral about at best, endless mixtape re-listens, and the growing realization that his crush on the enigmatic Sarah isn't going anywhere. That is, until Sarah approaches him with a mission. They're going to swim in all the pools in the neighborhood. This feels so cute and like teenage years. Very nostalgic. Soon, their quest leads to them sneaking into backyard pools every night and continuing to get closer, but not close enough for Trevor, who yearns for Sarah despite her college boyfriend, despite her not-yets, despite the way she keeps pulling away the moment things feel real. Bear with me, hold on. So when they learn about a natural pool hidden deep in the woods, it starts off as just another spot to check off their summer bucket list. But once they get in there, they soon realize the natural pool has a curious hold on them, and something very strange is happening. That's where the magical realism and the sci-fi-ish stuff seems like it's coming in. I pre-ordered this one for the nostalgia and for the sci-fi factor. So hopefully it is. The romance reading vlog put me into a f***ing slump. Slump, which I really wish it didn't, because I was in a slump and then I got sick, and so I wasn't reading and then I couldn't read. So I'm excited to read 40,000 books once I'm able to again. And then there are 3 more books from April that I want to talk to you about, but I was only allowing myself to read the synopses for 10. So for these 3, I summarized the synopses down into one little sentence. So first up is Sky Daddy by Kate Folk, in which a lady is sexually attracted to airplanes and wants to marry one by crashing it into the ground at 500 miles per hour. 2, Eat the Ones You Love by Sarah Maria Griffin, a horror, which is an even gayer and more traumatic Little Shop of Horrors. And then 3, The Staircase in the Woods by Chuck Wendig, another horror, which sounds like if Stranger Things and It had a baby and that baby disappeared up a floating staircase in the middle of the forest. For May, I'm going to talk about 2 that come out on the 6th, 3 that come out on the 13th, 4 that come out on the 20th, and 1 that comes out on the 27th. And first up is maybe the book I'm most excited for overall because of my love for the nature and the wildlife and and that is Ocean, Earth's Last Wilderness by David Attenborough himself, the man himself. If you don't know who David Attenborough is, you need to educate yourself. You need to educate yourself. Google David Attenborough, do 6 to 7 hours of light reading, watch every documentary he's ever been a part of, please. This man is a conservationist, he is a wilderness advocate, he is 99, I think? That can't be right. Oh my god, he's about to turn 90. His birthday's a week before mine in May, and he turns 99. So, pay him the respects that he deserves. Anyways, Ocean, Earth's Last Wilderness. Through personal stories, history, and cutting-edge science, Ocean uncovers the mystery, the wonder, and the frailty of the most unexplored habitat on our planet, and the one which shapes the land we live on, regulates our climate, and creates the air we breathe. The book showcases the ocean's remarkable resilience. They are the part of our world that can, and in some cases has, recovered the fastest, if only we give them the chance. Drawing a course across David Attenborough's own lifetime, Ocean takes readers on an adventure-laden voyage through 8 unique ocean habitats, through countless intriguing species, and through the most astounding discoveries of the last 100 years, to a future vision of a fully restored marine world, even richer and more spectacular than we can possibly hope. Ocean reveals the past, present, and potential future of our blue planet. It is a book almost a century in the making, but one that has never been more urgently needed. I want to impress upon you how important this man is. In my heart, the 3 people that I look up to the most with this kind of stuff, it's Jane Goodall, Steve Irwin, David Attenborough. Please everyone read this book. Read this book with me. Let's all read this book together. It's only gonna be like 200 and something pages, okay? Let's all read this book together so we can be better advocates for nature and for wildlife and for our planet and for our oceans. Let's do it. Let's do it. If anyone wants, I'll start a book club just for this. Just for this book, to just pay him whatever respects we can. Next up is called Overgrowth by Mira Grant, which is another pen name for Shauna Maguire, who wrote all the Wayward Children series. Under Mira Grant, she wrote Into the Drowning Deep, which I still have to read. Sorry. This is a horror sci-fi book, and it says it's Annihilation meets Day of the Triffids. Annihilation is one of my favorite books. Day of the Triffids I've never heard of before in my entire life. This is just a story. It can't hurt you anymore. Since she was 3 years old, Anastasia Miller has been telling anyone who would listen that she's an alien disguised as a human being, and that the armada that left her on Earth is coming for her. Since she was 3 years old, no one has been willing to listen. Now, with an alien signal from the stars being broadcast around the world, humanity is finally starting to realize that it's already been warned and it may be too late. The invasion is coming, Stasia's biological family is on the way to bring her home, and very few family reunions are willing to cross the gulf of space for just one misplaced child. What happens when you know what's coming and just refuse to listen? And this is also one I'm extra excited for because I have an arc! And I feel crazy about it, and if I wasn't so fucked up right now, I would have already read it. But I may or may not be filming an ARC vlog the second that I feel well enough to read again without getting sicker. That's coming soon. Hopefully soon. Next is called Awake in the Floating City by Susanna Kwan, which is a sci-fi dystopia sort of book. Bo knows she should go. Years of rain have drowned the city and almost everyone else has fled. Her mother was carried away in a storm surge, and ever since, Bo has been alone. She is stalled. An artist unable to make art, a daughter unable to give up the hope that her mother may still be alive. Half-heartedly, she allows her cousin to plan for her escape, but as the departure day approaches, she finds a note slipped under her door from Mia, an elderly woman who lives in her building and wants to hire Bo to be her caregiver. Suddenly, Bo has a reason to stay. Mia can be prickly, and yet she and Bo forge a connection deeper than any Bo has ever had with a client. Mia shares stories of her life that pull Bo back toward art, toward the practice she thought she'd abandoned. Listening to Mia, allowing her memories to become entangled with Bo's own, she's struck by how much history will be lost as the city gives way to water. Then Mia's health turns, and Bo determines to honor their disappearing world and this woman who's brought her back to it, a project that teaches her the lessons that matter most: how to care, how to be present, how to commemorate a life and a place soon to be lost forever. San Francisco is flooding, and Bo wants to re-find her artist heart. Don't we all? The next book is called Bochica by Carolina Flores Carchiaro. In 1923 Sahuacha, Colombia, La Casona, an opulent mansion perched above the legendary Salto de Tequendama waterfall, was once home to Antonia and her family, who settle in despite their constant nightmares and the house's malevolent spirit. But tragedy strikes when Antonia's mother takes a fatal fall into El Salto, and her father, consumed by grief, attempts to burn the house down with Antonia still inside. 3 years later, haunted by disturbing dreams and cryptic journal entries from her late mother, Antonia is drawn back to her childhood home when it's converted into a luxurious hotel. As Antonia confronts her fragmented memories and the dark history of the estate, she wrestles with unsettling questions she can no longer ignore. Was her mother's death by her own hands, or was it by someone else's? In a riveting quest for answers, Antonia must navigate the shadows of La Casona, unearthing its darkest secrets and confronting a legacy that threatens to swallow her whole. So another gothic horror set in Colombia on the mouth of a waterfall. Sick. This next one is a mixture of genres I've never seen before. It's a horror fantasy western, and it's called The Country Under Heaven by Frederick S. Durbin. Set in the 1880s, the story follows Ovid Vesper, a former Union soldier who has been having enigmatic visions after an explosion at the Battle of Antietam. As he travels across the country following those visions, he finds himself in stranger and increasingly more dangerous encounters with other worlds hidden in the spaces of his own. Ovid brings his steady calm and compassion as he helps the people of a broken country, rapidly changing but still reeling and wounded from its civil war 2 decades earlier. He assists with matters of all sorts, from odd jobs around the house to guiding children back to their own universe, to hunting down unnatural creatures that stalk the night, all the while seeking his own personal resolution and peace from his visions and the war that changed his life. This epic journey across the American West with Ovid and a surprising cast of characters blends elements of the classic Western with historical fantasy in a way like no other. This sounds like The Witcher if Geralt was a cowboy, kind of, which means I'm in. I'm seated, I'm in line, I'm in. Next up is called Aftertaste by Daria Lavelle, which has perhaps the most unique premise of anything else on this list. Konstantin Duhovny is a haunted man. His father died when he was 10, and ghosts have been hovering around Kostya ever since. Kostya can't exactly see the ghosts, but he can taste their favorite foods. Flavors of meals he's never eaten will flood his mouth, a sign that a spirit is present. Kostya has kept these aftertastes a secret for most of his life, but one night he decides to act on what he's tasting, and everything changes. Kostya discovers that he can reunite people with their deceased loved ones, at least for the length of time it takes for them to eat a dish that he's prepared. He thinks his life's purpose might be to offer closure to grieving strangers, and sets out to learn all he can by entering a particularly fiery ring of hell, the New York culinary scene. But as his kitchen skills catch up with his ambitions, Kostya is too blind to see the catastrophe looming in the afterlife. And the one person who knows Kostya must be stopped also happens to be falling in love with him. Set in the bustling world of New York restaurants and teeming with mouth-watering food writing, Aftertaste is a whirlwind romance, a heart-wrenching look at love and loss, and a ghost story about all the ways we hunger and how far we'd go to find satisfaction. I love, okay, Jane Goodall, Steve Irwin, David Attenborough are my nature wildlife people, but Anthony Bourdain is in the ranks of gods to me. This is giving me little bits of Anthony Bourdain. We get to be in the New York food scene, but we also get like ghosts and fantasy shit. I'm excited. Whew. Also on May 20th is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. I hoped I would have read One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns before this book came in, but I haven't. This is a new romantasy book. It has high-ass ratings from the ARC readers so far, so hopefully this will be a really good one. I have not been having very good luck with romantasy stuff recently. Hopefully this is better. I hated Powerless. There was something else that everyone else loves that I hated, and I can't remember it right now, but whatever. The Night and the Moth. Sybil Delling has spent 9 years dreaming of having no dreams at all. Like the other foundling girls who traded a decade of service for a home in the great cathedral, Sybil is a diviner. In her dreams, she receives visions from 6 unearthly figures known as omens. From them, she can predict terrible things before they occur, and lords and common folk alike travel across the kingdom of Trom's windswept moors to learn their futures by her dreams. Just as she and her sister diviners near the end of their service, a mysterious knight arrives at the cathedral. Rude, heretical, and devilishly handsome, the knight Roderick has no respect for Sybil's visions. I cannot take the name Roderick seriously. No offense to any Rodericks that might be watching this right now. I just wish she had chosen a different name. For no reason at all. I've never met a Roderick. But when Sybil's fellow diviners begin to vanish one by one, she has no choice but to seek his help in finding them. Roderick's help in finding them. For the world outside the cathedral's cloister is wrought with peril. Only the gods have the answers she is seeking, and as much as she'd rather avoid Roderick's dark eyes and sharp tongue, only a heretic can defeat a god. I'm gonna get through all these tonight. I am gonna get through all these, but you're not seeing this because I'm cutting it all out, but 2 times per sentence I'm having to stop to take a big deep breath. Next we have The Memory Collectors by Diet Misser. Ooh, how do I pronounce? I don't want to mess that up. How to pronounce?
Diet, a female given name of Slovenian origin. Diet.
Diet.
Messerve.
I hope I'm gonna pronounce this right. Diet Messerve. Another science fiction book with some time travel, some mystery. Okay. What would you do if you could spend an hour in your past? 4 strangers in the beach town of Ventura, California are about to find out. Oh my god, California mentioned. Elizabeth aches for one more precious hour with her son who died in a senseless accident. Andy is desperate to find his first love who vanished after a whirlwind romance. Logan craves the rush of surfing and mountain climbing, yearning to reclaim the freedom he lost after a misstep landed him in a wheelchair. Brooke is looking for an hour of relief from the guilt of an unforgivable mistake. Enter Aeon Expeditions, the groundbreaking time travel invention of Mark Saunders, which allows some lucky clients the chance to spend an hour in their past. Even though Aeon's technology ensures time travel can't alter the future, all 4 clients, including Mark's ex-wife Elizabeth, yearn to revisit the hour that changed their lives forever. But when their hour extends beyond 60 minutes, they find themselves stranded in the past. As their paths intertwine unexpectedly, they unearth shocking secrets hidden in the shadows of their shared... of their shared something. The Goodreads paragraphs are f***ed up. In their shared trauma? Maybe? Misfortune? All their lives were shattered the same night on a secluded highway by the beach. As they delve into the hidden truths of that pivotal hour, a startling revelation emerges. They were not alone. Someone else was present, harboring deadly intentions. I am desperate for some good new sci-fi books, so hopefully this one will fit the bill. We Live Here Now by Sarah Pinborough. Haunted house books up the ass. What was the one I read in January? We Used to Live Here. There was We Used to Live Here, haunted house book, and now there's We Live Here Now, haunted house book. After an accident that nearly kills her, Emily and her husband Freddie move from London to a beautiful Dartmoor country house called Larkin Lodge. The house is gorgeous, striking, and to Emily, something about it feels deeply wrong. Old boards creak at night, fires extinguish, and books fall from the shelves. All of it stemming from the terrible presence she feels in the 3rd floor room. But these things happen only when Emily is alone, so are they happening at all? She is still medically fragile. Oh my god, same, girl. Her post-sepsis condition can cause hallucinatory side effects, which means she cannot fully trust her senses. Freddie does not notice anything odd and is happy with their chance at a fresh start. I already hate this husband. She, however, starts to believe the house is haunted by someone who had been murdered in it, even though she can find no evidence of a wrongful death. As bizarre events pile up and her marriage starts to crumble, Emily becomes obsessed with discovering the truth about Larkin Lodge. But just as the house has secrets, so do Emily and her husband. Classic. It's so classic in scary movies for there to be a woman experiencing odd things, oddities, things going on. bad happenings, and for there to be some stupid husband who's following around going, I think you might be a little hysterical. Is it your time of the month? So that's We Live Here Now. The last full synopsis from April Books is called Forest Euphoria, The Abounding Queerness of Nature by Patricia Ononiwu Kaishian. Forgive me if I mispronounce that. Growing up, Patricia Kaishian felt most at home in the swamps and culverts near her house in the Hudson Valley. A child who frequently felt out of place, too much of one thing or not enough of another, she found acceptance in these settings, among other amphibious beings. In snakes, snails, and above all fungi, she saw her own developing identities as a queer neurodivergent person reflected back at her, and in them too she found a personal path to a life of science. In Forest Euphoria, Kaishian shows us the making of a scientist and introduces readers to the queerness, literal and otherwise, of all the life around us. Fungi, we learn, commonly have more than 2 biological sexes, and some have as many as 23,000. Whoa. Some intersex slugs mutually fire calcium carbonate love darts at each other during courtship. Glass eels are sexually undetermined until their last year of life, which stumped scientists once dubbed the eel question. Nature, Kaishian shows us all, is filled with the unusual, the overlooked, and the marginalized, and they have lessons for us all. Cool. Gay nature. Cool. We have 6 more books that I wanted to talk about, but I can't read the whole thing for, so I'm going to tell you my little baby sentences that I created for you. First up, The Nightbirds by Christopher Golden. A man who lives on a half-sunk ship taken over by a floating forest has to help a woman running away from witches? Question mark? There's Immaculate Conception by Ling Ling Huang. Obsessive female friendship becomes more obsessive when billionaire husband invents technology that allows them to absorb each other's trauma. Out of Air by Rachel Rice. Our Wives Under the Sea, If the Wives Were Cursed Teenage Underwater Cave Diving Treasure Hunters. A Sharp Endless Need by Marissa Crane. Call Me By Your Name, except it's American girls playing basketball. Behooved by M. Stevenson, which is Shrek, but the Fiona character is a horse during the day and a hot prince at night. And then The Starving Saints by Caitlin Starling. Queer medieval mindfuck horror, wine-drenched orgy fever dream in a castle. So hopefully those teensy little sentences convince you guys to read any of those ones. Or maybe I am wasting my time. And now we are on to June. I will be talking about 4 that come out on June 3rd, 1 that inexplicably comes out on June 5th, 3 that come out on June 10th, and 2 that come out on June 24th. The first of these being I Can Fix Her by Ray Wilde, which is a horror novella, and it says This Is How You Lose the Time War meets Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke. I wonder if it's actually like This Is How You Lose the Time War, or if they're just saying that because it's a lesbian book. I know that these comparisons are not always actually on the mark. Actually, they're usually not on the mark. Johnny spots her ex, Alice, at the local cafe with a vague sense that she's been there before. Though she's still angry about their breakup and Alice's subsequent ghosting, Johnny can't resist the draw of a second shot at their relationship and accepts Alice's invitation back to her apartment. Once there, promises are exchanged. There's talk of wonder and change and dreams made real. But after spending the night together, they face a morning in which Alice is still Alice, Johnny is still Johnny, and the dog has doubled in size. Over the course of a week, increasingly bizarre changes in the world around them force Johnny to consider whether the pair can change just as easily, if they can change at all, or if both her relationship and the bounds of reality are destined to implode. The narrative of I Can Fix Her operates on nightmare logic, putting forth an irresistible tale in which the world, the narrator, and time itself are not to be trusted. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, operates on nightmare logic kind of just sounds like a different way to say the book feels like a fever dream, which is my favorite kind of book. So yeah, sign me up. 100%. I'm done. I'm in. Okay, had to change the battery, but we are now back. Our next June book to talk about is called Kill Creatures by Rory Power. Last summer, Nan's 3 best friends disappeared into Salt Cedar Canyon. She spent the year since grieving their loss and avoiding questions about what happened that night. Are you snoring? Oh, hi. Oh, thank you. Wow. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, bye. She spent the years since grieving their loss and avoiding questions about what happened that night. Now, on the anniversary, she's ready to say goodbye, and so are the girls' families, who have reconvened to hold a memorial. But their vigil is interrupted by the shocking return of one of the missing girls alive. Everyone is overjoyed. Everybody, that is, except Nan, who is pretty sure they were dead. After all, she's the one who killed them. Atmospheric, fast-paced, and vividly realized, Kill Creatures is a book about secrets, jealousy, violence, and revenge. Perfect for fans of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder and Gone Girl. I'm a fan of neither of those. If you say hi. Yeah. Oh, that's very nice. Can we kiss? Thank you. Anyway, Kill Creatures. I was distracted by my own creature. Next up is another nature and wildlife based non-fiction, and I've decided it's my life's mission to get at least some of you guys to read some nature non-fiction with me. So this one is called Lone Wolf: Walking the Line Between Civilization and Wildness by Adam Weymouth. In 2011, a wolf named Slavk left his home territory of Slovenia for a wide-ranging journey across the Alps. Tracked by a GPS collar, he traveled over 1,200 miles, where he would mate with a female wolf on a walkabout of her own, the only two wolves for hundreds of square miles, and start the first pack to call the Italian Alps home in more than a century. A decade later, and there are more than 100 wolves in the area, the result of their remarkable meeting. Now, journalist Adam Weymouth follows Slavk's path on foot, and in doing so interrogates the fears and realities of those living on land that is being repopulated by wolves. A metaphor for economic, political, and climate upheaval in a region that is seeing a centuries-old way of life being upended. Weymouth journeys to understand how wolves, vilified throughout history in literature, art, and folklore, are slowly creeping back into our forests, woods, and sometimes even our towns, and what that deep-rooted terror at the back of our minds really means. Slavk serves as the ultimate symbol for the outsider, journeying through places that are now wrestling with an influx of immigration, a resurgence of the far-right wing, and the steady decline of the environment due to the rapid advance of climate change. The question of how we see the other and treat the earth becomes paramount in everyday lives. Examining the political dimensions that this individual animal's trek brings to light, Lone Wolf tells a newly resonant story, one less about fear and more about the courage required to seek out a new life, as well as the challenge of accepting the changing world around us. Sounds amazing! I know a lot of you guys are only here for speculative fiction. This sounds good! I'm gonna be reading it on June 3rd, probably. Someone read it. If anyone actually wants to read Lone Wolf with me, or the David Attenborough book, let's talk and read the book together. Let's talk about a book club. I just want someone to read these nature nonfiction books with me. I want a group of us, actually. I want a group of us to read this shit together, so let's talk. Next up is The Unmapping by Denise S. Robbins, which is another science fiction dystopia. 4 a.m. New York City, a silent disaster. There is no flash of light, no crumbling, no quaking. Each person in New York wakes up on an unfamiliar block when the buildings all switch locations overnight. The power grid has snapped, thousands of residents are missing, and the Empire State Building is on Coney Island. For now. The next night, it happens again. Esme Green and Arjun Varma work for the City of New York's emergency management team and are tasked with disaster response for the unmapping. As Esme tries to wade through the... I cannot hear the name Esme without thinking of Esme. Sorry. As Esme tries to wade through the bureaucratic nightmare of an endlessly shuffling city, she's distracted by the ongoing search for her missing fiancé. Meanwhile, Arjun focuses on the ground-level rescue of disoriented New Yorkers, hoping to become the hero the city needs. While scientists scramble to find a solution, or at least a means to cope, and mysterious red cloak cults crop up in the disaster's wake, New York begins to reckon with a new reality no one recognizes. For Esme and Arjun, the fight to hold the city together will mean tackling questions about themselves that they were too afraid to ask, and facing answers they never expected. With themes of climate change, political unrest, and life in a state of emergency, The Unmapping is a timely and captivating debut. Next is the book that is, for some reason, coming out on June 5th, which is not a Tuesday, which is when, for the most part, books come out. I am kind of nervous that this book might not actually be coming out in June, and maybe like the dates haven't been changed yet, but also, well, I'm a little worried that this book maybe isn't going to be a available in the US where I live. And I say that because the author, let me just tell you, the book is Oracle by Moira Fowley. I own another book by Moira Fowley called Eyes, Guts, Throat, Bones, and I was only able to buy that through Waterstones because it wasn't available in the US. And so I have a feeling that this might be the same kind of situation. But anyway, sounds awesome. So I'm going to get it to my house one way or another. In a lighthouse on a crumbling coastline, two graying wives keep the fires lit, reading futures and fish scales and sending signals into the dark, while a monster with an almost human face circles their garden, sly and hungry. Further up the coast, a woman experiencing strange cravings after an intense heartbreak feels herself pulled to the light at the cliff's edge, where she might finally be able to satisfy her hunger. A wild take on the goriness of romantic hunger, Oracle is the debut novel for adults by award-winning writer Moira Fowley, an unforgettable exploration of love, desire, and possession. I want the book, and the cover is so creepy and so cool. So look at this shit. Look at this. I need it. In one way or another, I need this book. Next up is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. Santo Domingo de la Calzada, 1532. London, 1837. Boston, 2019. Three young women, their bodies planted in the same soil, their stories tangling like roots. One grows high, one grows deep, and one grows wild. And all of them grow teeth. And it's labeled vampires as the genre, so I guess it's vampires. It also says LGBT, so, you know, gay vampires. Jesus Christ. Next is The Lady, the Tiger, and the Girl Who Loved Death by Helen Marshall. It's being compared to Aaron Morgenstern's The Night Circus, which I hated. So that's a great sign already. Sarah Sidorova lies dying. As she hovers between life and death, she receives a visitation from Amba, the tiger god who will devour creation if he is released from the chains that bind him. Amba gives Sarah Sidorova an extraordinary gift, a glimpse into the future. Years later, her granddaughter Erenda will grow up in a war-torn country where survival means obedience. When a devastating attack robs her of her mother, she travels to Harana City. There, her grandmother agrees to teach her the ultimate secret, how to tame death, but it won't be easy. In the circus that offers her first taste of power, Erenda will have to tame another tiger if she is to survive. Amongst the magicians, the strongmen, and the contortionists, she will start down a dangerous road to carry out a revenge decades in the making, and bringing justice into the world for herself and her family. Rich with glamour and strangeness, brutality and deceit, and the dark magic of the circus, this haunting fable will chill your bones and make your heart ache. Another circus-related book, although this one is directly comparing itself to The Night Circus. Makes me a little bit nervous. I guess we'll see. Next on June 10th is This Is Not a Ghost Story by Amarie, and if you think that that name sounds familiar, it is the Amarie who ruled the pop charts in the early 2000s with It's Just One Thing That Got Me Trippin'. It's that one. She's an author now, apparently, and it's her debut novel, and it's horror, literary fiction, paranormal. So let's see. John's house provides all he needs. Surrounded by a vast, beautiful ocean under a void of sky, the house is John's haven. He is alone but never lonely. He is here now but neither remembers nor longs for a before. In his house, John is safe and untroubled. But then a terrible shadow creature breaks in, and it wants him out. Pushed from the house, John falls into the light and finds himself in modern-day Los Angeles, the first person to ever come back from the other side. Though he has no memory of his past life or even how he died, everyone wants to know more about the black man who has returned from the dead. Is he the second coming, a hoax, or something beyond explanation? Soon he has brand deals, TV interviews, and politicians aiming to use him for their agendas. Yet all John wants is to go home. But going home will require, most unfortunately, help. In search of a way back, John grudgingly joins forces with a mystic holding dubious qualifications, a hard-edged publicist bent on making him famous, and an aspiring actress who is unsettlingly familiar. With this ragtag band of allies, John begins a journey to find his house on the ocean, but getting there will prove more complicated than he imagined, for it will require not only trusting in someone other than himself, but will mean uncovering painful truths about who John was in life, and, perhaps most difficult, who he must become. Weird. Feels like this is going to be a really strange one, and I am so here for it. The weirder the book, the better for me. Give me all the weird ass books you got. Penultimately, we have a book called A Magic Deep and Drowning by Hester Fox, which is historical fantasy. Holland, 1650. One fine spring day in Friesland. Oh, did I pronounce that right?
Friesland.
Friesland. No, I didn't. One fine spring day in Friesland, 20-year-old Clara Van Wieren is faced with an... Okay, please, Goodreads publishers, whoever is doing this, get your copy correct on Goodreads. Faced with an ill? An ill what? It's gonna be like ill omen or something. One fine day in Friesland, 20-year-old Clara Van Wieren is faced with an ill omen. I'm gonna say it's omen. A whale, beached and rotting in the noonday sun. But Clara doesn't believe in magic and superstition, and this portent is quickly dismissed when a proposal from a wealthy merchant arrives, promising Clara the freedom she seeks from her mother's overbearing rule. When her attempts at overseeing the household at the family's estate lead to her chance encounter with a young man with russet hair and sparkling eyes the color of the sea, she finds herself strangely drawn to him. As Clara grows closer to Moritz, she must choose between the steady, gentle life she has been raised for and the man who makes her blood sing. But Moritz isn't who he seems to be, and his secrets, once hidden beneath the waves... Wait, is this another mermaid book? Oh, yeah, duh, look at the cover. Oh, I'm so stupid. His secrets, once hidden beneath the waves, threaten to rise up and drown them both. And when an ancient bargain, forged in blood between the mythical people of the sea and the rulers of the land, begins to unravel, Clara finds herself at the heart of a deadly struggle for power. Yeah, no shit. It's mermaids, McKenna. And finally we have A Treachery of Swans by A.B. Poranek. And look at that beautiful cover, my god. Oh, and it's gay! Again! So many gay things coming out soon. Can two girls, one enchanted, one the enchantress, save their kingdom and each other? 200 years ago, a slighted deity stole the magic from Auriel and vanished without a trace. But 17-year-old Odile has a plan. All her life, her father, a vengeful sorcerer, has raised her for one singular task: infiltrate the royal palace and steal the king's crown, an artifact with enough power to restore magic. But to enter the palace, she must assume the identity of a noblewoman. She chooses Marie d'Odette, famed for her beauty, a rumored candidate for future queen, and Odile's childhood friend turned sworn enemy. With her father's help, Odile transforms Marie into a swan and takes her place at court. When the king is brutally murdered and her own brother is accused, her plans are thrown into chaos. Desperate to free her brother, Odile is forced to team up with none other than elegant, infuriating Marie, the girl she has cursed, and the girl she can't seem to stop thinking about despite her best efforts. To make matters worse, there are whispers that the king's murder was not at the hands of man, but beast. It's gonna be another mermaid! Probably not. Torn between loyalty to her father and her growing feelings for Marie, Odile becomes tangled in a web of treachery and deceit. To save her kingdom, she must find the true path to magic, and find the real killer before they, or it, strikes again. And that's... oh wait, nope, we have to do the ones with the little... we have to do the little lines. I got an aura ring. I got a ring that won't be named unless someone wants to sponsor me. It's like bio-monitoring, and it's gonna think that I'm absolutely crazy for getting my heart rate up, because yeah, my heart rate is up from talking this much. What about it? From getting my heart rate up this much at 2:30 in the morning. There are 3 more that I want to tell you about, with a little one-liner. Meet Me at the Crossroads by Megan Giddings. Portals start popping up and a pair of twins have to figure out what to do about it, philosophically. There's A Far Better Thing by H.G. Perry. Portal fantasy in which a man gets to enact violent revenge on the fairies and changeling who swapped him out as a baby and forced him into servitude. And then The Poppy Fields by Nikki Ehrlich. If Goop did Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, but you get Sleeping Beautied instead of Men in Blacked. Hopefully you can decipher what I meant by that, because I don't even know what I meant. But talk about the cover being ugly. This is just like Nikki Ehrlich's last book, The Measure. I refused to buy it because the cover was so ugly, and now I own it because someone was so kind as to send it to me. But I refused to buy that one because of its ugliness. This one's perhaps even uglier. I don't know. That's all. As for the rest of the books I have on these lists, I'm going to show them right now in little collages. I'm gonna flash them up here and talk over them so you have time to screenshot if you feel like it. But here are the other books that I have been at least mildly interested in for April. These are the April ones. Check them out, take a screenshot. And then here are the ones for May. Check them out. Screenshot. Take a screenshot of my little collage. And then here are the ones for June. Here are the other June ones. Screenshot my collage if you want. If not, ignore me. Okay, that's it. Now we're back. I still feel pretty okay right now, which is great, but it's 2:30 in the morning, so I'm gonna go to sleep. I don't know how I'm gonna feel tomorrow. I don't know how I'm gonna feel the rest of the week or next week. So I have no idea when you'll actually be seeing this. I'm going to get it edited and uploaded as soon as I can with regards to being safe with my health. I thought I would take this time to film it during this little window where I felt better than I have in weeks. So hopefully I can keep it up. But if you don't see this, we're in the last week of March now. So if you don't see this within the last week of March, it means that I remained sick. But hopefully not. Hopefully not. That's it. Hopefully I can get better and so I can start reading. Like I wish I could at least read during these periods of shittiness. Anyway, also, again, I'm so sorry that I talk so much about being sick. It is just such a big part of life, unfortunately. Shut up. We're shutting up now. Thank you so much for being here. I've missed you. I miss creating videos. I miss reading. I miss all of this. So I will be back as soon as possible. Oh my god, I started talking about it again. Thank you for being here. If you can hear me, if you can read these subtitles, I love you. Thanks for showing up time and time again for me. I hope I see you very soon. Have a beautiful, beautiful day, week, month, year. Stay positive if you can. Bye. And it's a reimagining of beer. And it's a reimagining, but tragedy oops, where did I, what? A gravity. One book to talk about, as Antonia confronts her New York restaurants and teeming with mouse watering? Mouse watering? Water your mice. Cut all of it. Cut all of it. Next up is bury our bones in the midnight sail. In the midnight sail. And when an ancient bargain. And I'm sorry to have. No. We're not being self-deprecating. It's okay that you are sick. It's okay to be sick. It's okay to be sick. It's okay to be sick. You are not your sickness. You are not your body. You are not your brain. Well, you might be your brain. Whatever. Okay, anyway.